Okay, we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. We have talked about them before. We know a song about them, the robot song. Unfortunately, the song wouldn't link into this slide deck for review, but you can remember it and do the actions. Okay, parallel lines, remember, are lines that will never meet. They will continue to go on forever without touching one another. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form a 90-degree right angle. Intersecting lines, any lines that cross each other, okay? They're going to make V's like we learn in the song. Something that I haven't taught you yet is a trick to help you remember parallel lines. Parallel lines actually, the word parallel actually has a set of parallel lines, the two L's. Those L's are never going to touch. They're parallel to each other. So it's one of the ways that we can remember what parallel is. Okay, this first example, it wants us to label each of the pairs as either parallel, perpendicular, or intersecting. So let's look at this first one. This first one, I'm going to do like our right angle corner test. Remember, if it forms a square or even a rectangle, it's going to be a right angle. This does not form a square or a rectangle. This is not a right angle, so it can't be perpendicular. It does, however, form these. So it is going to be intersecting. Okay, our next set is parallel. They're not going to touch. This one, I'm going to do the box test. And if it forms a perfect square, then it's going to be perpendicular. Remember, if I am going too fast for you, feel free to stop and pause the video. That's one of the good things about doing these videos, is that you guys kind of have the ability to control how fast or slow. Okay, example number 2. Label each shape below as having parallel lines, perpendicular lines, both or neither. Okay, so we're going to look at this first one. This first one's a rectangle. What we do know about rectangles is that they have right angles. They actually have 4 right angles. Each one of their corners is a right angle. So we know that it has perpendicular lines because each one of these corners are right angles. Again, trying my best though. That was a struggle. Okay, so we know that it has perpendicular at least. Let's see if it has parallel. These lines right here are never going to touch. They're going straight up and down, never going to touch each other. So that's a set of parallel lines. These ones are also another set of parallel lines. So it actually has both. Both parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, the next one. We are going to see if it has parallel lines first. Okay, these lines right here are not going to be parallel because if I draw them out further, which that one didn't turn out exactly as I'd hoped. That one's as good as it's going to get. But they're actually going to meet up here. That one's not parallel. But if I draw these ones out, this is a good way to test if it's parallel or perpendicular, is by drawing them out like this. These ones are going to go straight and they're never going to touch. So it does have a set of parallel lines. Let's check to see if it has any perpendicular. If I go like this to the corner, that's not a perfect square. Or this to the corner, again, not a perfect square. So it's just going to have parallel lines. Okay, this next one. One of the best ways to tell, again, like I did in that previous one, is by extending the lines like this. This is literally the easiest way to tell if they have any parallel lines. If you want to extend them further, that's totally fine. This is just the way I'm going to do it for right now. Okay. I'm sorry, but remember, parallel lines have to be opposite of each other. There's no actual opposites with this pentagon because it has 5 sides. There's no perfect opposite. So it actually is going to have no parallel lines. Perpendicular lines, remember, meet at 90 degrees. So if I were to do our 90-degree angle check, which is actually really hard on the angle I chose, straight line up, straight line to the side, it does not pass the test. So this one actually has neither. Okay, if you're familiar with triangles, which we've talked a little bit about, triangle, just by looking at it, you can see that it has no parallel lines. But it's a right triangle. It comes together at a 90-degree angle. So this one is just going to be perpendicular. Okay, example 3. Example 3, you may not have different colors, but that's okay to do this one. We're going to do it this way. Within each shape, shade the set of parallel lines with a different color. Okay, so you want to find the parallel lines. Parallel lines are going to be opposite of each other. So this line and this line are going to be parallel. This line and this line are going to be parallel. These two are not going to be parallel because they're going to end up meeting if we draw them all the way out. Okay. Our next one. This line and this line's going to be parallel. The other two are not because that top line is actually slanted. This top line is actually slanted. So it's going to keep going down like this while this one goes straight and eventually we'll meet up with it. So those are not parallel. Okay, we've seen a rectangle before. Okay, we should know that this one and this one are parallel. And this one and this one are parallel. Okay, this next one might trick you. Okay. But it has an even amount of sides, so it's actually going to have parallel sides. It has 6, so it's a hexagon. This side and this side are going to be parallel. This side and this side are going to be parallel. And then this side and this side are going to be parallel. Okay, another way to show that they're going to be parallel is with the dash marks that you've semi-seen with stuff I've done. If it has the same number of dash marks, it's going to be a similar side. So stuff like that.